So we're going to get started shortly. I hope everyone can hear me. If you have any questions or anything like that, please leave them in the chat and we'll try to answer them as quickly as possible or get to them afterwards. Hello. So today's going to be a fun topic. I'll be focusing on the gut and walking you through one of our favorite specialty tests called the gut zoomer, which we'll dive into shortly. So some of you may be familiar with this test and some of you may have already done this yourselves. But before we get into that, I wanted to share a little bit more about me. I'm Filipino. I grew up eating a variety of different fruits and vegetables that are not typically consumed in the regular diet. We have here at the top right, it's bitter melon. This is typically a stir-fry dish, or what we see in the center picture right next to it. It is what I like to call deconstructed omelet that has tomatoes, onions, garlic. And then another favorite of mine are moringa leaves or stems that you see at the bottom left corner. And that is traditionally prepared as a chicken soup or stew. We like to eat this alongside some rice, and that you could see in the picture above. And then there's also ube. It is actually a purple yam that you see at the bottom right corner. And it's made its way into the food scene. And also a lot of coffee shops have been making some cold foam with this. And in the center picture, you see an ube horchata. This is something my partner and his friend had concocted for an event. But all that to say, as I got older, I really developed more appreciation for food and just how I really began to see food as medicine for that matter. And there's just so many essential nutrients that we can obtain from whole foods. For example, later I learned in ND school that moringa contains calcium. It is also really helpful for boosting milk production in lactating women. But bitter melon is also really helpful for regulation of blood sugars and sometimes cholesterol as well. A fun fact for one of the main reasons why I was drawn to naturopathic medicine was really because not only from the benefits of food, but I was really fascinated by the GI system. There was one day my sister had taken me to a seminar, which the topic of discussion was the gut-brain axis. And I was totally blown away by learning about the different connections of disease and how a lot can originate from the gut. It just really sparked my curiosity, and so now I'm really excited to share with you a little bit more information on one of my favorite topics, the gut microbiome. And to start off, your gut does so much more than digest food. It's an important role in overall health and in terms of regulating our immune system, absorption of nutrients, production of vitamins, detoxification processes, and protection against harmful bacteria. There is a ton of research between the connection of the gut-brain axis. It shows that our mental health and digestive health are interconnected rather than separate systems. We have our vagus nerve that plays a key role in this connection. It's the longest cranial nerve in the body and serves as a major communication highway between the gut and the brain. It influences many behaviors and activates our parasympathetic nervous system, commonly referred as the rest and digest state, and relays signals back and forth, traveling between your GI and central nervous system. This bidirectional communication plays a crucial role in regulating mood, immune function, gut motility, gut sensations, heart rate, and heart rate variability. There's a reason why we often refer to the gut as the second brain. There's a lot of truth behind it. The gut has its own nervous system known as the enteric nervous system, which can function independently from the brain while coordinating digestive processes. It controls peristalsis, which is the coordinated waves of muscle contractions that pass food along through the GI system and release digestive enzymes without our conscious effort. A large portion of neurotransmitters like serotonin are also produced in the gut that affect brain activity. Digestion is just not driven by food alone, but our thoughts, our stress, all the emotions, which all have an impact on how our GI functions. For example, if you ever think of a time where you had a big test, right, and you were super nervous that you immediately ran to the bathroom. That's a direct impact of stress affecting your gut motility. Stress influences the speed and movement of food through our digestive system and contributes to symptoms like bloating, gas, constipation, or diarrhea. Now, on to the next slide. Many practitioners underestimate the importance of a healthy gut microbiome. It has profound significance on overall health and disease prevention. The gut microbiome can be thrown off pretty easily. There's numerous factors like changes in diet. Are we eating too little? Are we eating too much? Poor sleep, antibiotic use, exercise habits. Are we more sedentary or live an active lifestyle? Environmental exposures like heavy metals, mold, pesticides. Aging even has an impact, and chronic stress. All these influence the composition of our gut bacteria and how effectively the gut functions. When the balance gets disrupted, or what we call dysbiosis, harmful bacteria can start to take over. These bacteria produce higher level compounds of lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, which we can see around this cell to the right. LPS are large molecules that are found on the outside layer of bacteria from E. coli and Salmonella. When levels get too high, they can irritate the gut and inflame the gut lining. Over time, inflammation can then weaken the gut barrier and lead to leaky gut. That means the tight junctions in our intestinal lining start to break apart and then allow things that shouldn't pass through our bloodstream, like toxins, bacteria, undigested food particles, which from there can contribute to a wide range of health issues. Now, what is the gut zoomer? It's a comprehensive stool test designed to give a detailed snapshot of what's going on inside your gut. It screens for harmful things like bacteria, parasites, fungi, all that can be contributing to your symptoms. It detects a wide range of microbial organisms in the gut, both beneficial and harmful, to see if there's any imbalances. It measures for things like calprotectin and other markers that indicate gut inflammation. It looks at how well you're breaking down and absorbing foods via enzymes or fat digestion. It also includes markers related to gut integrity and immune activity in the gut, such as gliadin. And so if you are really having some serious symptoms, it's really important to rule out things like ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, conditions that are a part of irritable bowel diseases. And so with that, it involves inflammation within the GI tract. Depending on the area affected, they can present very similarly. Symptoms like abdominal pain, diarrhea, sometimes with blood, or urgency. And so with a gastroenterologist, they typically will do a full workup. They include labs, imaging, maybe a colonoscopy or endoscopy to really make an accurate diagnosis. There's also celiac, which is an autoimmune condition triggered by gluten found in rye, wheat, or barley. And so if left undiagnosed, it can lead to significant damage in the small intestines and a wide range of symptoms. While all these other tests are essential and absolutely have their place, the gut tumor gives us the gut tumor is an essential tool that really helps us is a helpful guide when all of these tests look normal. It gives us deeper insights into what's really going on in the gut that cannot be tested through traditional testing, and we can also provide more of a targeted treatment to your individual needs. Now, is this test right for you? Maybe digestion's off. Are you having irregular bowel movements? Maybe a change in consistency, whether it's more watery, soft, hard to pass. Maybe it's been a few days since you've remembered the last time you pooped. How many of you have an ongoing discomfort from gas or bloating? You can put it in the chat if you want. But does it feel like it's just sitting in your stomach even when you make the healthy choices? Are you having low energy or sleep disturbances? Maybe you're experiencing some mood swings. Do certain foods trigger aches and pains in your joints, or flare up eczema, maybe make acne worse? Hormonal imbalance can also be an issue for women. You might be experiencing heavier cycles, which may be linked to estrogen detoxification. And so for our clinical case today, this patient had some notable concerns on things that she wanted to improve on. In the mornings, the bottoms of her feet were so bothersome, it was hard to walk or even drive for that matter. She also had some stiffness in her hands and her knees. She often wore braces at night to really keep her comfortable. She had challenge with eating due to frequent nausea. With that, she avoided meat and often had to force feed herself. She struggled with a lot of constipation. She had trouble focusing and would lose train of thought mid-sentence. Sleep was restless, and it was frequently interrupted, making her feel super exhausted throughout the day. And now I'm going to walk you through her results. To start off, this page begins with an overview. Here we have the Shannon's Index and Simpson's Index. The Shannon's Index is looking at the overall variety of microbial species living in the gut, and it really shows whether or not there's a lot of diversity. So the more diversity found in one's gut microbiome, the more resilient the body is able to fight an infection or invasion. The Simpson's Index shows the evenness of the different species. So if we take a quick look in the center where the phyla is located at, Firmicutes, which is a group of bacteria, consists of more gram-positive bacteria like lactobacillus, which is involved in producing anti-inflammatory effects. This is more prevalent in her gut microbiome compared to all the other groups. And typically with higher levels of Firmicutes, it's associated with higher consumptions of fat and or sugar in her diet. As with most things, balance is essential, particularly with the gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and a higher ratio, which we can see at the top right, the F/B portion, indicates dysbiosis, reflecting an imbalance between these bacterial populations. Now, towards the bottom, we see gut commensals. This refers to the current balance of microbes in the gut and how that may be associated with potential health conditions if left unaddressed. This isn't diagnostic, however, they help illustrate how the microbiome may be influencing different organ systems and overall health. Now on this next slide, we see a list of possible pathogenic microbes, bacteria, viruses, fungi, which this patient was actually all clear of. However, on this next slide, we found one culprit that was detected known as Giardia, and so it looks a little like this. This organism is commonly found in poor sanitation areas or undercooked food handled by poor hand hygiene. Most commonly, it causes diarrhea. Maybe you have some foul-smelling stools, or other times constipation, nausea, cramps, bloating. Other things we noticed were her butyrate levels were low. This is associated with poor fiber fermentation. Maybe she's not getting enough in her diet. Butyrate is a key short-chain fatty acid that serves as a primary energy source for cells lining the colon. It helps support a healthy gut barrier by keeping the cells tightly bound together and strengthens the mucus layer within the intestines. This helps regulate inflammation and plays a role in metabolic and immune function. Now, towards the right-hand side, we have some inflammatory markers that were elevated. There's high levels of S100A12, MMP9, and fecal eosinophil protein X. Starting off with S100A12, typically this contains some antimicrobial properties to help fight against bacteria like H. pylori, which can cause things like peptic ulcer disease. However, with the rise in this number, it indicates that there's damage within the mucous membrane and inflammation in the lower GI tract like the colon. MMP9 is an enzyme, and its role is in tissue breakdown and remodeling, specifically with the structure of our cells. So when we see it elevated, it can tell that there's some irritation in the gut and can contribute to leaky gut. Now with fecal eosinophil protein X, this is a marker that detects a possible allergic component or food sensitivity that's making our immune system a little more active. Now in this section, we see that the pancreas is overall having a hard time doing its job. The pancreas is responsible for a lot of our enzymes that help digest carbohydrates and fats. So whenever we notice pancreatic elastase is low, we see that the body is not able to digest like it's supposed to. And therefore, nutrients from foods that we eat are not well absorbed. Specifically with this patient, she's not properly digesting fat. You can see an increased presence of fat in her stool at the bottom under fat malabsorption. And to the right-hand side, we have secretory IgA or SIG-A. This is a antibody found primarily in areas with mucous membranes. So that's the respiratory tract. That includes our nose, our lungs, sinuses, the urogenital tract like the bladder, and the gut lining. So it's responsible for protecting intestinal integrity from toxins and bacteria. It does that by trapping the bacteria in the mucus, which then moves along the GI tract and clears out the body. At the same time, it also supports the tolerance to beneficial bacteria and helps maintain a healthy, balanced gut microbiome. This patient has an elevated level, which most likely is from GI irritation from all the other factors that we noted in previous slides. Now, while it would be easy for us to have one treatment that fits everyone's gut concerns, humans are more complex. Unfortunately, life doesn't exactly work that way, and that would also be bad medicine. There's no perfect diet, supplement, probiotic that is fits a one-size approach. Similarly with fingerprints, everyone has a unique microbiome that responds differently to treatments. Just to reiterate from what I said in the beginning, many factors like age, lifestyle, diet diversity, antibiotic or medication use, immune function all play a factor in influencing the person's gut microbiome. Now about treatments for how we help this patient. This patient was treated with an antibiotic to really knock out that bad pathogen Giardia that was lingering inside her gut. Other options for this could be using a broad spectrum antimicrobial or antibacterial blend of herbs that maybe contain oregano or echinacea. We know that taking antibiotics kill everything, both the bad and the good bacteria inside our gut. So we added a probiotic to replenish the healthy gut flora and support her overall microbiome. Enzymes were given to help with digestion. Based on this patient's results, we found a specific formula that really helped metabolize those fats a bit better. A supplement with either ox bile is a great option, especially if you're someone without a gallbladder. Some other helpful things to consider are BPC 157. This is a peptide naturally found in the gut that has great research on repairing tight junctions for leaky gut and helping with overall inflammation. Because it has a strong affinity for the GI tract, it's one of the peptides that you can actually take orally. Other supportive therapies include glutamine and herbs aim to restore the integrity of the gut lining. There are also carminatives such as ginger or bitters. This is not to promote drinking, but sometimes it's added in cocktails, which stimulate the flow of bile and enzymes to support overall digestion. Now, for our patient, 1 month later, we had a follow-up, and she felt mentally sharper. She was able to get herself up and organized. She cleaned up so many untouched tasks that had piled up from work. Her joint pain was so much better. She was able to actually snap her fingers, which was always difficult for her to do. She even started working out and exercising. She stopped wearing braces at night for her legs. Her appetite improved significantly. She was able to eat more food and a lot more foods. She was able to enjoy cooking again and started incorporating meat into her diet. It was incredible to see all these improvements after 1 month of treatment. And with that being said, change doesn't happen overnight. When we are working with a provider, try not to get discouraged, stay committed to the process, and continue to advocate for yourself. Healing is a journey, and there's highs and lows. There are things that are just part of life. It may look differently for everyone, but with consistency, patience, progress will come over time. If in this webinar, you are, anything that had resonated with you or wanted to know more on how to fix your gut, reach out to our clinic and schedule an appointment to see if the gut tumor is right for you. I appreciate each and every one of you for listening in and joining me today this afternoon. Here is my contact info, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week.